right, well, that was a shot of thousands of Belgian students ditching class to call for climate action today. And they're not the only ones skipping school in a call for action. Alex Morgan and our team in the Cube have more on this story. Alex.
Well, Tessa, you know, here in the Cube, we've been following the protests, the school strikes for the climate that have been taking place every single week in Europe and spreading from city to city. Of course, we had a lot of focus on Brussels in the past, didn't we? Well, today it's in the other Belgian cities. It's spreading throughout Belgium as well. Look at just some of these pictures here from the city of Leuven here. You can see journalists posing with activists here in Belgium. But I think what is significant is the scale of a demonstration that took place in the Netherlands, in The Hague. Have a look at this. It's estimated to be around 10,000 strong. This on Snap Map, which is Snapchat's tool, which pinpoints videos geographically. You can see here students, the crowd of students that gathered here. These are videos uploaded by those attending themselves, hashtag Youth for Climate. But also you can see just the scale of this. This being part of this movement across Europe of young people standing up, walking out of class and demanding action on the climate. And in fact, I just want to bring up a photograph here from Kim. Kim is 29. She is running in the upcoming European Parliament election. She shared this video earlier in the day saying how excited she was that trains were being packed full of students commuting into The Hague from surrounding areas to attend the march. And then she herself was there in amongst these crowds that we just saw on Snap Map. You can see her video showing the sea of faces. She described them as being there from 12 years old all the way up to 18 years old. Now, Kim herself is somebody who is particularly vocal. She's been campaigning, of course, for a long time. And I spoke to her on Skype slightly earlier today to get a sense of what this was all about. And this is a flavour of what Kim had to say to me.
At this point in time where all the warnings are so dire and the signs are clear, we have to act. I think it's not the students that are the one on strike, but it's actually the people in power and the big multinationals that are not taking actions that are the ones that are really not doing what they're supposed to do. So I think it's very legitimate that these young people are saying, I can just skip a few hours.
To the tone there, it's not the students who are on strike as they're not doing their job. It's the people in power. She goes on to tell me that she thinks that the youth of tomorrow, the people who are growing up now, will not accept the status quo anymore, that they will not allow a status quo that gambles with their future, and that is the message these young people, many of whom cannot yet vote, want people to know, that only those who will make changes are going to stay in power. This is what she said about this new generation. She called them the climate generation.
And to see that the youngest generation this is really the climate generation we're talking about here, that this generation is now on the streets to start protesting and to show that they want a different world and a better world and a future for themselves. I think it's incredibly empowering.
They want a new world, a better world, a future for themselves. There is no sign that these strikes that are taking place across Europe, spreading, growing, are going anywhere. Tessa.
All right, thank you for that to Alex and our team in the Cube there. And here with me in the studio to discuss this student protest is Malin Bjork. She's a Swedish MEP with the far left group. And we have Marielle Leonidakis, a student protester and from Belgium. And we have our Euronews correspondent, Grégoire Lery. All right, Marielle, I'd like to ask you first. I mean, we understand that this is about caring for the environment and climate change. But why did you choose, the students choose this method of protesting and getting your voices heard?
Well, many times as students, we don't have outlets and we don't feel like we have the outlets that many adults do. We can't vote. Most kids there, you see them, the little girl with the lamb, I was right next to her for most of it. She's really young, she can't vote, and we feel like we're being told, you have to wait several years to vote. I'm sorry, we need to change that now. We're already reaching the limit where we can't turn back. And right now, we're just trying to stop it from progressing further. And so this is showing that we will have the power, we do have the power, and we're going to make a change whether you're ready for it or not, essentially.
Yeah, and you're right to point out that you can't vote yet, and they're trying to get their voices heard. And this is how politicians get into power, through votes. So are politicians actually listening? You as a politician, are you actually listening?
Well, I think, yes, I would say so.
And are your colleagues listening?
Yeah. No, I would say, it's very impressive. It's, starting with this girl, a young person in Sweden, Greta Thunberg. She took to the street, and it was like, I'm not accepting to be voiceless anymore. And I think it's not up for us politicians to react on that. And I think it's very, very interesting what's being asked for climate justice.
Yeah.
So already there is some kind of understanding. You have the understanding of what is needed, not only climate action, but justice. And also, in terms of young people, not only you're lucid about the seriousness of the problem, but maybe you're more prone to change also and accept that change is needed. Because as adults, and when I speak in this house sometimes, it's like, it's important, but not so much change.
Yeah, and a lot of issues when it comes to change that are being brought up in the context of the European parliamentary elections, which are coming very soon. Do you think this climate change, or green wave we can call it, is it driving the European parliamentary elections? Is going to play a crucial role in this?
It should. I mean, you were talking about the green wave. We saw last year the green gaining seats in Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg. So it is a sort of new, another wave of it. And of course, I think it's going to last until the European elections. And at least in Belgium, and I guess in the Netherlands, they can't avoid this issue. I mean, with so many people in the streets.
Yeah, but they can't vote. So how would that change the election results?
They can't vote, but they can talk. They can talk to their parents. They can show something.
The power is with people, and young people are people. So I think for politicians are prone to listen.
But there's another issue to this, is that when we saw movement galvanizing the students, there are a lot of politicians who might want to take advantage of this. Do you feel that there's some people who try to hijack the message that you actually wanted to?
Yeah, that's always an issue, and I think you see that a lot in politics. But going a bit back to what you said earlier about not having the vote, well, we didn't need the vote to get Chauvelage out of her position when she said that what we were doing was a setup, that we weren't behind it, that we weren't capable. We didn't need to do that. That was us showing, the hypocrisy of what's occurring, that our very own politicians, she had an impact on climate issues of Belgium, and she was saying these things.
So this is the minister that had to resign because she was getting bombarded with messages from students.
And she said that it was a setup.
Okay.
Which is ridiculous. We're
so you're saying that this movement does change something in politics?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the protests, as you know, we saw so many young people. It is driven by a lot of students. But today, the movement also received some extra momentum, this time from 350 scientists and researchers. They signed a letter backing the climate change strike. Oceanologist and Professor Gert-Jan Brummer is one of them, and he's joining us now from Den Haag in the Netherlands. All right, Mr. Brummer, thank you for joining us tonight. So why are scientists actually backing this climate change strike?
Well, actually, the problems that they put up with are exactly the same kind of problems that we see as marine scientists. We have seen this happening over the last, actually, decades, and we're now in the middle of it. They see the students see the urgency of this whole thing, actually, for as much as I'm concerned, better than the politicians do. And that's why we back this up. And with me, there are lots of other Dutch marine scientists that do exactly the same thing.
All right. Does it make you optimistic to see this movement? It's galvanizing, getting more support in different parts of Europe?
Yes, definitely. If we are going to do something, then we have to do it now. Otherwise, we're simply too late. They see the urgency of these things, and I completely agree with that.
And what about what politicians, because at the end of the day, it's the politicians can actually change policy that would eventually impact, climate change. What do you think they could do concretely in terms of measures? What are you calling for in backing this climate change movement of the students?
First of all, take it seriously. Look at the arguments and see what you can do, but actually do it. Things like CO2 tax, that is certainly a possibility to do it. Maybe you should drive slowly, not take the airplane that much if you don't really have to. What's all the hurry if you're destroying your environment at the same time?
And, you scientists, you bring the facts to the table, and it's interesting that scientists are now backing students. Do you think that politicians still listen to experts and scientists, academics like yourself?
I wish they would do that more, or at least translate this into actual policies that help to avoid what is coming at us at quite some speed.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Brummer, talking to us there from Den Haag there. All right. I'd like to ask you, getting support from scientists and academics, how does that make you feel? Does it make you optimistic then?
Well, yeah, it only reinforces what we're doing. It reinforces the future. It's not that we're doing this without any base whatsoever. It's that this is happening. We will be making a change. And it's based on science. It's based on facts. It's based on the fact that it has to happen. And we're going to make sure that it does, hopefully.
Okay, and what about from a politician's point of view? When I asked him, are politicians still listening to scientists? And, do you still have discussions about
I think we listen to scientists, we listen to people. And I think the importance now is that people speak about the green movement. I think it's also a red movement. Because I think we need more change. And I think when conflicting interests are at stake, profits or planet, we have to be able to make systemic changes for the planet, not for profit. And that is a challenge for European policymakers today. So it's not enough to be green. You have to actually be red also. And that's, so you have to have free public transport, you have to have you have to make it cheaper to take the train, more expensive to take the plane. So these are political choices we have to make. And it's not will always be comfortable, but we have to make systemic changes.
And I think on the last point, Gregoire, on what we're seeing with young people on the streets, is the movement getting legitimized by the kind of support and the kind of reaction that they're getting?
Yes.
Genuinely, I mean.
Yes, exactly. And there's a special bill, climate bill, that is taking place right now in Belgium, and some people say that it could be passed before the general election in Belgium in May through urgent procedure. So it means something is going on. I mean, I don't know if it's a political movement or the pressure from the street, but this is turning from slogans to action in a way.
All of it together. All right. On that note, we'll end there. We'll come back with a lot more on Loire politics for you. A big escalation and ongoing spat between two countries, France and Italy. The French government is recalling its ambassador from Rome after accusing Italy of playing politics after weeks of verbal attacks. Don't go away.